do. Love is like an action, and it's up to me and you. There's something I believe in.
This is News at 10 for Elim Bible.
It's still the greatest story, and it's never getting old. So move, move, move to improve, improve, and don't just sit there and say,
We're here and it's Wednesday at the Elim Bible Week here in Ireland, and today we have Stuart Blount with us, and we're just going to chat a wee bit with Stuart and find out a wee bit about him and delve a wee bit deeper maybe into some stuff. So Stuart, good to have you with us.
Thank you, great to be here, Steve.
Yeah, and obviously midweek you're coming in when everybody's just, things are going,
yeah.
But we'd like to find out a wee bit about yourself. Can
yeah.
you tell us a wee bit about maybe how you became a Christian and how you came into ministry?
Yeah, I was born into a Christian family, and so very familiar, very accustomed to church life, an Elim family over there in England. So grew up throughout those first formative years of my life very much with that Sunday school environment and church. So actually one of the things I often say is I've never known a time in my life I didn't believe in God. But I got to the age of 9, 10, and often that journey for a lot of us who grew up in Christian homes is that we realise at some point that mum and dad's commitment to Christ is their commitment to Christ, and you need to take a step for yourself. And I suppose that around the age of 9 and 10, that's something that happened for me. And I think that was a very genuine thing in my life. I really, at that point, encountered God ministering to me. And then I spent a lot of my kind of adolescent time in senior school really challenged and struggling with being a Christian in that environment, and the sense of being accepted in that environment. So I've often said that I kind of got to about the age of 16, and there was a dramatic kind of pivotal moment in my life that I felt God got a hold of my imagination and my attention. And for me that was a key discipleship moment. I said I wanted to follow Jesus, which led on within a couple of years into what became really my call into ministry.
Okay. And so then, was there any definition from God on what your ministry would be, or was there any? Some people know straight away that they're going to be a pastor or they're going to do this. What was it like for you finding your feet?
Yeah, it took me a while to find that. I mean, I went away, not far actually from the town I lived into Birmingham, which is about 15 miles, to an Operation Mobilisation weekend. Just got stirred with this passion. I think that's always been a part of my makeup as a person, and so I think God engaged in the passions of my life, and I just wanted to give everything to God. It was just one of those moments that everything else seemed unimportant, work and church, even everything. I wanted to serve God, and I remember coming back to my home church and having that chance to testify in the evening and effectively telling the whole church, you know, you've got to give up your jobs and go and serve Jesus somewhere. And my pastor at the time, Barry Killick, kind of got up after I'd shared that testimony, and I remember him saying to the church, you know, I'd rather channel enthusiasm than try and raise the dead. And that's really what he began to do and shape my life. And I actually signed up to go with Operation Mobilisation to the Republic of Ireland for a year, and that's what I was going to do. I don't know why I chose the Republic of Ireland, but maybe it seemed like it was another country, but not too far away from where I was. But then some folks gave me some real good counsel and wisdom, and it was right that I have a sense of training and input in my life. And so in September 1984 I went into Elim Bible College. And it was in those first few months, I think, that definition came. I kind of went into college not imagining I would be a pastor, but realising in those first few months, often as some of the lecturers and the people that mentored me were encouraging about the qualities or the attributes that I seemed to have, that was possibly something I could consider for my journey. And I think over that first year, it became evident that that was the heart that God was giving me to lead church life.
Okay, brilliant. So where you find yourself, we know a wee bit about you without kind of springing it. You want to tell us the range of involvement as far as ministry?
Sure, I'm very privileged to lead an Elim church in South Birmingham in a place called Christian Life Centre. I've been there for 18 years.
Okay.
Prior to that, I'd served for a little period as assistant pastor in Swansea. And then my wife Amanda and I had led a church in a place called High Wycombe for 4 years. But we came to Birmingham 18 years ago just really wanting a place where we could realise our dreams. And for me, that was about a church that was going to be making an impact, was going to be visible, was going to be vibrant, was going to make a statement about everything I know to be true about God and the faith that we live. And so we've led that church over the last 18 years, and God's been incredibly good to us. We've seen the church grow and develop. But more for me, I've seen my own growth and development, learning to be a leader, what that meant through a lot of my mistakes, through a lot of patience and support from the church, a lot of input. And so really now that's what I do. I lead that church and oversee the various ministries there. It's a relatively large church, I suppose, could be considered to be that. And I've been able to grow and develop the church in our understanding of reaching out to our community and the kind of qualities that I believe in my heart a local church should have. But also over recent years, I've really been privileged the last 6 or 7 years to be able to be part of Elim's national leadership team, which has been a learning curve, and the opportunity to be around other quality leaders has helped me grow as well.
Okay, great. So what, when we see so many leaders with so many different kind of giftings and different ways of doing things, some are very evangelistically geared. What's your kind of drive, or what way do you like to lead your church?
I think that my primary giftings are in leadership and in pastoral ministry. I love people. I believe that Jesus was people-centred. I believe that church is about people, not programmes. And so in my journey, my learning journey really as a leader, we've developed and tried to develop our church where people matter. And now that can be pastorally, we try to ensure that we look after and care for our people, but also that lost people matter to Jesus. And then that's when really the gifts and the skills that you develop as a leader come in, because, you know, looking and imagining what church can be like to meet those things. We've found over the years that it's our love and our welcome of people, sometimes more than our very eloquent gospel messages that impact their lives, that people can find a sense of belonging in the church, a sense of welcome. We sought to build a house of grace where we understand what it means to experience this amazing God who's full of grace. And we haven't set out to be an irreligious community for the sake of just fulfilling that title, but to not allow ourselves really to be embedded in things that are cultural and historic, if they're not biblical. Yeah. And so I suppose that being people-centred, there's a lot of folks talk about not being people-centred, you know, and I actually think that people matter to Jesus. He came to save a lost world, and whenever Jesus talks about lostness, he talks about people, not things. And so that's been a real focus in our journey as a church.
Great, great. Okay, and maybe there's maybe people watching, listening. You know, obviously a range. Maybe some are pastors, some are elders, deacons, even volunteers, leaders, youth leaders. Is there kind of things that you would maybe give tips on how to lead, or guidance that would maybe help them in their leadership at whatever level?
Well, I think we have to remember how we would want to be led, how we would want people around us to lead us. I think that we need to avoid today's church culture and society, this culture of personality and popularity. You know, Jesus said that the greatest amongst us will be the servants. And I still think the greatness is in serving God's purposes, serving God's people, serving God's world. And to keep our hearts humble and to serve people is a joy and a reward in itself. And I'd rather do that and miss out on the world's rewards and rewards in this life and inherit whatever there is in the life to come. I think we need a counterculture in the church today, in the Pentecostal church today, that is actively seeking to resist all of that desire for the spotlight to be on us, and to realise that Jesus served with towels and tears. He served with towels his disciples and washed their feet, and he served with tears at the grave of Lazarus. And in those ways we see that the people matter to Jesus.
Brilliant, brilliant. Tonight you're speaking then on Wondrous transformation. Without giving away too much, you want to tell us maybe, you know, kind of your insight into that?
Well, we're going to look tonight at one of the Psalms, Psalm 42, where the psalmist cries out to God, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul longs for you." And we're going to consider the fact that change is part of life, but that however much change happens for us negatively, the outcome of all of that desire for God is that whenever we come back to him, he is a God of transformation. And whenever we come back to his heart for our heart, is always wanting to transform and change us, and to see that as a positive part of journeying in our walk with God, constant transformation, being transformed in increasing measure into His likeness. So we're going to kind of go on a bit of a journey like that.
Great. And maybe you haven't came to Elim Bible Week this week, we would really encourage you, or if you can come during the week, that would be great. And there's still a lot of, God's still doing a huge thing here, and we'd love you to be involved in that. So don't forget, every morning at 11 AM and night times at 7:30. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Live, live, live.